One of the reasons why you might not feel good enough, no matter how hard you try to improve, learn, or get better, is that you never bother yourself or concern yourself with using what you've already learned or acquired or what you've already got, even if it's not incomplete, even if it is incomplete or not good enough. You feel like you're not good enough because you've never tried or thought of using your current or newly acquired abilities, what you already have. No amount of even no amount of improvement can change that. You will always feel like you're not good enough. If you think that your current abilities, no matter how good they really are not good enough for you to use them in the first place, and that just trying to use them or rely upon them will never make any difference. Let me put it this way. Let's assume you're really good at something, but you never use your current abilities. You will always feel like you're not good enough. Because why aren't you using any of your current abilities when it comes to that thing? Or your current abilities, period. Why aren't you using them, your current abilities? Because you think they are not good enough. Let's assume you've improved your current abilities and they have become like infinitely, better than how good they were in the past. So now your current abilities are really more than enough. They are really great. But you still never use them. You still never rely upon them. You still never take advantage of having those abilities. You still never use those abilities. What will happen in this case? You will remain as incompetent and bad and weak and unable to do anything when it comes to that thing, just as you were when you had, bad abilities before, you trained, before you improved yourself and all that. You will remain as bad as you were in the past because you're not using any of your abilities. It doesn't matter how good your abilities are if you're not using them in the first place. And in this case, you'll feel like, I have improved. Yeah, like you can't check that box. You have improved, I assure you. But you're not using that improvement because you're not allowing yourself to use your abilities. And that is like a global order. It has to happen. I am not allowed to use my current abilities. So even if your current abilities are really more than enough, if they are really extraordinary, if you're not allowed to use your current abilities, no matter what, you will never use them, even if they are really great. In this case, you will have a feeling that I feel no difference between now and how good I was at that thing in the past. Like there is no difference whatsoever. I'm still the same person. I'm still struggling with the same things. I still feel like my level of competence is the same as it was in the past. Despite all this improvement, it's mind blowing. How come? Like, how come I am the same despite having come so far? Despite all of this improvement. And the improvement is undeniable. Like, it's real. It's not like you think you have improved, but you didn't get any better. No, no, no. You really have improved. And there are like objective measurements that confirm that you really have improved. But still, you feel no difference whatsoever. You feel like you are as bad as you were 10 years ago, despite all this improvement. Why? How come? How could this be? If you have a belief, a limiting belief that you're not allowed to use your current abilities because they're bad, they're not good enough, you need to improve first before you start using your abilities, and as long as your abilities are not good enough, you're not allowed to use them because you'll embarrass yourself and you'll suck and you'll fail anyway. You're not allowed to use your abilities. You will remain not allowed to use your abilities even if your abilities have become phenomenal. Even after your abilities become, the best there is. Even after your abilities become extraordinary. You will remain not allowed to use them until you change that rule, until you allow yourself to use your abilities. So in this case, you will always feel like you are less than you actually are. Like you'll feel like, I'm better than this. This is not who I am. I am way lesser than I am supposed to be. I am less capable of how good I actually am. Why is this the case? No matter how much I improve, I remain the same because you're not allowing yourself to use your current abilities. In the past, you haven't allowed yourself to resort to your abilities or rely upon them or use them at all in the first place because they were bad, because your abilities sucked. Now your abilities have become phenomenal, but still you have that rule embedded in you that tells you you're not allowed to use your abilities. And that rule remains untouched until you change it. It will remain there, preventing you from using your abilities even after they have become extraordinary. You have to reach out, extract this rule, and throw it in the trash can. This is the only way you can actually feel the difference. Like, I want you to imagine that you're not allowed to use your abilities. What would that look like? You will feel like you have zero ability. You will feel like you really are totally, you'll feel like you suck. You will feel like you're really bad. You will feel like you are unable to do anything or accomplish anything. You will never amount to anything. You will never be competent enough. You will never have the ability to do anything. You will never be able to solve your problems, fix your life, get your life together, or succeed at anything, or go after the life that you want, or, live your dream life, or be happy, or live your best life, or follow your passion, or do anything that you can call, now I'm successful. Because you think that success is all about either hard work or smart work. No, it's about your abilities. It's about how intelligent you are. It's about how smart you are. Not how smart you work, but how smart you are. Like, people nowadays think that you have to work smart despite being an idiot and you will get the same results. No, it will not. It will never happen. No matter how smart you think your work is, it will be just an illusion. You will think that you are working smart, but your stupidity is preventing you from detecting the fact that your work is really dumb. Like, you are not working smart at all. It's just pure labor and it's wasted, and you will get there, but 40 years behind everybody else. Your peers, at least. You will always be behind everybody else if you're not smart enough. So the problem is that people focus on how they do the thing as opposed to becoming the person that is capable of doing anything. You're not focused on your capabilities because everybody is supposed to reach everything. Everybody's supposed to be able to get anywhere. Like equality, and everything is allowed to everybody, and everybody can become whatever they want. So now we have to erase the fact that there is something called human ability. We're all like animals, like any animal can do anything. Like, we all evolved from animals, but what distinguishes us from animals? If you are lacking in those areas that distinguishes us from animals, what difference what difference is there? Like, tell me what will be the difference between you and something that is not human. So the more you maximize what makes you human, the higher the chances that you will have at doing the stuff that only a human can do. So, I want you to understand that intelligence is essential for your success. Being smart is essential for your success. And it is not just IQ here. And we're talking about abilities. All your abilities, even your physical abilities, even your energy, even your health, everything matters when it comes to your success. But you're focused on doing the right thing, working smarter, working on the right thing, having, the right schedule, having taken the right steps, focusing on, or actually even working hard and smart, like both at the same time, not just working smart, but working both smart and hard. That's all this is garbage. What you need to do is actually raise your capability until you become capable of doing that thing over and over again and winning every time. You have to become able to do that thing, as opposed to you have to succeed at it despite being an idiot. That will never work. So you're focused on strategy. How can I do? No, no, you have to change as a person. You have to change as a person. Learn stuff. Become better. It is all about you becoming better, increasing your abilities. You need that to succeed. Let's assume you've already increased your abilities. Why are you still failing? Because you're not allowed to use them. You are not allowing yourself to use your abilities. If you're not allowed to use your current abilities, there is no threshold after which if your current abilities have crossed and became higher in terms of strength or quality, there is no threshold that after which now you will automatically be allowed to use them. The rule of I'm not allowed to use my abilities will remain functioning with disregard to how high your abilities have become. Even if your abilities have become, extraordinary or phenomenal, you are still not allowed to use those abilities or touch those abilities because you're not allowed to use your abilities. Why aren't you allowed to use your abilities? In the past, you weren't allowed to use them because you thought you were not good enough. That's understandable. Because in the past, you were focused on improving what you got as opposed to using what you've got. Because you back then, you had nothing. So how could you rely upon or use what you had back then when you had nothing? So you still had to build yourself from scratch. It wasn't just improvement, it was, building yourself from zero, from scratch. You've done that, and now you have, strong abilities. Like, now your weaknesses are substantially lesser than your strengths. And now you have a lot of stuff that you really are naturally good at. You've worked on that yourself, and you've become better. But still, you're not allowing yourself to use your abilities because the rule that I am not allowed to use my abilities because they are not good enough is still there. So the rule and its reason are still there. So you're not allowed to use your abilities, even though they're now extraordinary. And the reason behind that is my abilities aren't good enough. I am not good enough. That is still there, which makes you feel not good enough even after years and years of improvement, which makes you feel like no matter how much I improve, I still feel not good enough, which makes you think mistakenly that, oh, no matter how hard you improve, you'll always feel like you're not good enough. If you don't feel good enough, regardless of how good you really are. So you think that you have to feel that you're good enough with disregard to your abilities or how good you really are. It has to come from within, and no amount of improvement, because somehow that improvement is considered to be an external factor, even though it's working on something internal. But no, it's an external thing. It's like, vanity. It's like, validation from the outside. So you think that this is just something that is not supposed to make you feel good enough. You think that no amount of improvement there is will ever fix the I am not good enough feeling. So you think that you shouldn't, try to fix the feeling of not being not good enough by improving yourself. Because feeling good enough has to come from within. But the real reason here is that you feel like you're not good enough, not because of that, but because after you've improved, you're not seeing the fruit of your labor. You're not seeing the results of that improvement. And the reason why you're blocked from this is because you're not allowing yourself to enjoy the fruit of your labor, to use your abilities. Since you're not allowed to do so, why? The rule says you're not allowed to use your abilities because you're not good enough. So you will end up not using your abilities and thinking that you're not good enough, no matter how hard you try, or no matter what you do, or no matter how much you improve. And in this case, you will remain feeling not good enough despite any improvement. So this is why further improvement will never fix the problem of I'm not good enough. It is not because feeling good enough has to come from within, and no matter how much you improve yourself, it doesn't affect it. It's because you have a rule that is blocking you from enjoying this. If you remove that rule, you will enjoy the fruit of your labor and you will feel good enough because now you're using your current abilities. And now that improvement will increase how good enough you feel. Because any improvement, any change in your abilities, you will notice it, you will experience it, you will actually start using it and enjoying it. So you will feel better about yourself the more you improve. In this case, if you remove that restrictive rule or limiting belief, you will end up feeling good enough more the more you improve. So there's no contradiction here. Like there's nothing that says that improvement does not alleviate the feeling of not good enough, of you thinking that you're not good enough. If you remove that limiting belief or that rule that makes you that has been described earlier, you will start feeling good enough more, or you'll start feeling better about yourself the more you improve yourself. Which means that actually improving yourself is one of the ways to alleviate the feeling of I am not good enough. It is one of the most powerful ways. If you feel or think that you're not good enough, chances are you are really not good enough. What you should do about this is increase your competence. Increase how good enough you really are by working on yourself, by improving yourself, by the betterment of yourself, by trying to improve and increase your abilities, by trying to get better or become better. And in this case, you will no longer feel insecure and you will no longer feel like you're not good enough. It's straightforward here. You have to allow yourself to use your abilities in order to notice a difference after all those years of improvement. Otherwise, you will always feel like you're doing this all for nothing and you are never getting any better, no matter how hard you try. You have to allow yourself to use your current abilities, even if they are bad. Because if you didn't, you will never be able to use them, even if they are extraordinary.